Listen to me. Whatever you're going through, whatever's holding you back, whatever's keeping you up at night, I came to tell you, you can change this. I don't care what it is. I don't care how long it's been like this. I don't care who told you it can't be fixed. You can change this. But it starts with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a prayer, a decision. Some of you are stuck in cycles of procrastination, cycles of excuses, cycles of blaming your past. But I need you to understand your past is not your prison, it's your platform. It's the place you launch from, not the place you stay. You say, I've always been this way. Change it. You say, I don't know where to start. Start now. You say, but I'm tired. Then get up and do it tired. Because listen, life is not waiting for you to be comfortable. Life is not going to pause until you feel ready. The opportunity is here, the time is now, and the person who needs to take action is you. I don't care if you failed before. Failure is feedback. It's life's way of teaching you what doesn't work. Learn from it, grow from it, but don't let it stop you. You want a better body? Change it. You want to break generational curses? Change it. You want to go from broke to wealthy? Change it. And here's the truth. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you the life you want. But the good news is you don't need anybody to. Everything you need is already inside of you. The discipline, the drive, the vision. So today, right now, I need you to make a promise to yourself. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more playing small. You can change this. Your past does not define you. It does not have to be the thing that holds you back, that limits your potential, or that keeps you locked in the same patterns you've been stuck in for years. Too many people spend their lives looking backward, replaying their mistakes, reliving their failures, and allowing what happened yesterday to dictate what they do today. But the truth is, your past is not your prison. It is your platform. It is the foundation you build on. It is the thing that gives you strength, resilience, and wisdom if you choose to use it the right way. Think about the most successful people in the world. They didn't get to where they are by having a perfect past. They didn't wake up one day never having faced challenges, never having made mistakes, and suddenly find themselves at the top. No, they went through struggles. They went through failures. They experienced pain. But instead of letting those things define them, they let those things refine them. They used their past as fuel, not as a chain. The problem is most people don't know how to do that. They let their past control them instead of the other way around. They replay the same old stories in their heads. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the right family. I made too many mistakes. And every time they replay those stories, they reinforce them. They believe them a little more. They live in them a little deeper. And the more they do that, the more they trap themselves in a cycle that was never meant to hold them. But you have a choice. You don't have to be a prisoner to what happened to you. You don't have to be limited by the decisions you made before. Every single day, you have the opportunity to decide what your past is going to mean to you. You can decide whether it will be your excuse or your motivation. You can decide whether it will be the weight that drags you down or the fire that pushes you forward. The difference between the people who make it and the people who don't is not that one group never had a past they had to overcome. It's that one group refused to let their past be their ceiling. They use it as a stepping stone. They took their failures and learned from them. They took their pain and turned it into purpose. They took their mistakes and let them shape their wisdom. They didn't run from their past. They didn't deny it. They didn't pretend it never happened. They embraced it. They owned it. And then they used it to build something greater. You might have come from a rough childhood. Maybe you didn't have the support system you needed. Maybe you had to struggle just to survive. Maybe you were counted out before you even had a chance to prove yourself. But guess what? That's not the end of your story. That's just the beginning. The fact that you had to fight harder means you're stronger. The fact that you had to go without means you appreciate abundance more. The fact that you had to learn things the hard way means you have wisdom that most people will never have. And if you take that wisdom, if you take that strength, if you take that fire and put it to use, there is nothing you can't do. But you have to make that decision. You have to stop letting your past be your excuse and start making it your reason. You have to stop believing that just because something happened before, it has to happen again. That just because you struggled before, you have to struggle forever. That just because you made a mistake before, you can't get it right now. The past is not something to be ashamed of. It is not something to hide from. It is something to embrace, something to learn from, something to use as a tool to sharpen yourself. The people who make the biggest impact in this world are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who had every reason to quit but didn't. They are the ones who had every obstacle in their way and climbed over them. They are the ones who had a past full of struggle, but refused to let it dictate their future. You have to understand that your past only has the power you give it. If you see it as a prison, it will be a prison. If you see it as a platform, it will be a platform. If you see it as something that is keeping you stuck, you will stay stuck. But if you see it as something that is pushing you forward, you will move forward. And don't get me wrong, I know it's not easy. I know that breaking out of the mindset of being trapped by your past is hard. I know that sometimes it feels like no matter how much you want to move forward, you're still carrying the weight of everything you've been through. But that's exactly why you have to be intentional about how you use your past. You have to look at it differently. You have to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing your past as the reason you can't do something, start seeing it as the proof that you can. If you made it through struggles before, you can make it through them again. If you survived setbacks before, you can overcome new ones. If you learn from past mistakes, you are better prepared now than you've ever been. Your past is not something to fear. It is not something to run from. It is something to take control of. You have to own your story. You have to stop letting it own you. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is not what happened to you, but what you do with it. Change starts with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, not a prayer, a decision. Too many people go through life waiting for things to change, waiting for opportunities to come, waiting for someone to save them. But the truth is, nothing changes until you make a choice, a real choice. A choice that says, I will not stay where I am. I will not accept less than I deserve. I will not keep making the same excuse. That's the difference between the people who make it happen and the people who watch from the sidelines. The people who succeed in life, in business, in health, in relationships, in anything, they are the ones who made a decision and followed through on it. The problem is most people never really make a decision. They say they want success, but they don't commit to it. They say they want to change, but they don't cut off the old habits. They say they want more, but they don't sacrifice for it. Because a real decision isn't just saying, I want it. A real decision is followed by action. A real decision means cutting off any other possibility except the one you committed to. It means removing maybe from your vocabulary. It means eliminating all the backup plans that make it easy to quit when things get hard. Because here's the truth. If you leave yourself an escape route, you will take it. If you give yourself a way out, you will use it. And that's why most people never change. They say they want to get in shape, but when it gets hard, they quit. They say they want to build a business, but when it takes longer than expected, they stop. They say they want to be successful, but the moment discomfort shows up, they run back to what's comfortable. That's not a decision. That's a wish. A decision is when you commit no matter what. A decision is when you say, I will do this even when I don't feel like it, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's painful. A decision is when you stop negotiating with yourself. Most people are stuck because they keep negotiating. They tell themselves, I'll start tomorrow. I'll wait until the timing is right. I'll do it when I feel ready. And guess what? Tomorrow turns into next week turns into next month, and next month turns into next year. And before they know it, a decade has passed and nothing has changed because they never made the decision. They never put their foot down and said enough is enough. They never removed the option of staying the same. The moment you truly decide, everything changes. Your mind shifts, your habits shift, your priorities shift, because when you decide, you stop tolerating the things that don't align with your goal. You stop allowing distractions to pull you away. You stop giving excuses room to breathe. You stop entertaining the idea of quitting, because a real decision means closing the door to every other possibility. It means saying, I don't care how hard it gets. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many obstacles come my way. I'm all in. But most people never reach that level of commitment. They stay stuck in trying. They say, I'll try to eat healthier. I'll try to save money. I'll try to be more disciplined. I'll try to build something great. Trying is not deciding. Trying leaves the door open for quitting. Trying gives you an excuse when it gets uncomfortable. Trying allows you to back out when you don't feel motivated. That's why people stay stuck for years. That's why people never reach their full potential, because they never crossed the line from I'll try to I must. There is power in a must. When something is a must, you find a way. When something is a must, you don't stop when it gets hard. When something is a must, you adjust, you adapt, you push through, because failure is not an option. The difference between success and failure is the moment you decide that you will not give yourself any other choice. The moment you burn the bridge behind you, the moment you stop playing with the idea of quitting, when you truly decide, your actions will prove it. You won't have to tell people you're serious about your goal, because they'll see it in the way you move. You'll show up differently. You'll operate differently. You'll talk differently. Because when a person makes a real decision, there is no hesitation. There is no room for doubt. There is no space for excuses. People ask, how do I stay motivated? You don't need motivation when you've made a decision. You don't need external hype when you've truly committed. Motivation fades, hype dies, excitement wears off. But a decision, a real decision, carries you through the days when you don't feel like it. A real decision keeps you locked in when your emotions want to pull you off track. A real decision is unshakable. The people who succeed, the people who change their lives, the people who break cycles and reach levels others only dream about, those are the people who stop waiting for the right time. They stop waiting for perfect conditions. They stop waiting for someone else to give them permission. They make a decision and take action immediately. Some of you have been stuck in the same place for years because you keep waiting for more confidence, waiting for a sign, waiting for validation. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come first, action does. You don't wait until you feel ready to start. You start and then you become ready. You don't wait until fear is gone to take action. You take action in spite of fear, and then fear loses its grip. The people who change their lives are not the ones who had perfect conditions. They are not the ones who had everything lined up. They are the ones who moved even when they were scared. They are the ones who took the first step even when they didn't know the whole path. They are the ones who stopped waiting and started executing. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another pep talk. You need a decision. And the moment you truly decide, everything changes. There is a lie that people believe, a lie that keeps them stuck, a lie that makes them wait. That lie is the idea that they need to feel ready before they take action. They believe they need to be fully rested, fully confident, fully prepared before they start chasing their dreams. But the truth is, if you wait for perfect conditions, you will never start. If you wait until you feel 100% motivated, you will never begin. If you wait until everything is lined up just right, you will spend your whole life waiting, because success does not belong to the people who wait. It belongs to the people who move, even when they are tired, even when they are scared, even when it's inconvenient. Most people talk themselves out of their dreams because they don't feel like doing the work. They let temporary emotions control their long-term destiny. They let feelings dictate their actions instead of making decisions based on commitment. They wake up one morning and say, I don't feel like going to the gym, so they skip the gym. They sit down to work on their business and say, I don't feel inspired, so they procrastinate. They set a goal and then say, I'm not motivated today, so they make excuses. And before they know it, weeks have passed, months have passed, years have passed, and nothing has changed. The people who succeed are not the ones who feel good all the time. They are not the ones who wake up every morning full of energy, full of passion, full of excitement. They are the ones who wake up exhausted but still show up. They are the ones who don't feel like working but do it anyway. They are the ones who push forward even when every part of them wants to quit. Because the truth is, consistency beats motivation every time. Motivation is temporary. Motivation is an emotion, and like every emotion, it comes and goes. You cannot build success on something that is unstable. You cannot build a future on something that disappears the moment life gets hard. You have to build on discipline. You have to build on commitment. You have to build on the unshakable decision that you will keep moving forward no matter what. People say, but I'm tired. Of course you're tired. Growth is exhausting. Change is exhausting. Becoming the best version of yourself is not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If it were easy, everyone would be successful. But most people are not willing to push through discomfort. Most people are not willing to sacrifice. Most people give up the moment things stop being fun, the moment things get hard, the moment things require real effort. And that is why most people stay average. You have to train yourself to push through tiredness. You have to train yourself to push through boredom. You have to train yourself to push through fear. You have to develop the ability to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. That is the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't. The people who make it have learned how to separate their emotions from their action. They have learned how to take control of their minds. They have learned how to keep showing up even when they don't feel like it. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. Think about the greatest entrepreneurs, the greatest leaders, the greatest artists. Do you think they felt like practicing every day? Do you think they felt like working long hours? Do you think they felt like pushing themselves when nobody was watching? No, but they did it anyway, and that is why they are where they are, because they understood that results don't care about feelings. Your goals don't care if you're tired. Your dreams don't care if you don't feel like it. Success doesn't care if you're in the mood. Either you put in the work or you don't. Either you show up or you don't. Either you stay disciplined or you don't. And if you don't, someone else will. While you're making excuses, someone else is putting in the work. While you're waiting to feel ready, someone else is taking action. While you're giving into your emotions, someone else is mastering theirs. That is why you have to move even when you're tired. That is why you have to work even when you're uninspired. That is why you have to push even when it's hard. Because the people who can master this are the ones who win. The people who can discipline themselves are the ones who rise to the top. The people who can separate how they feel from what they do are the ones who build legacies. People always say they want to be great, but they don't want to do what greatness requires. They want the rewards without the sacrifice. They want the results without the discipline. They want the success without the struggle. But that is not how it works. You cannot have one without the other. If you want something extraordinary, you have to be willing to do the things that ordinary people refuse to do. And the number one thing that ordinary people refuse to do is work when they don't feel like it. That is what separates the top 1% from everybody else. That is what separates champions from the ones who give up. Champions keep going no matter what. Champions don't care about how they feel. Champions don't let emotions control their actions. Champions understand that the only way to win is to show up every single day, no matter what. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to wait until you feel like it. You just need to decide that you will do it no matter what. Failure is not the end. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is feedback. Every time you fall short, every time you miss the mark, every time things don't go the way you plan, you are being given information. You are being given a lesson. You are being given an opportunity to adjust, to improve, to refine your approach. The problem is most people don't see it that way. Most people see failure as a stop sign instead of a stepping stone. They take it personally. They let it break them. They let it make them doubt themselves. But the truth is, failure is not here to destroy you. It is here to build you. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not that one group never fails. It's that one group understands how to use failure to their advantage. When unsuccessful people fail, they quit. When successful people fail, they analyze, they study what went wrong, they take notes, they figure out what needs to change, and then they try again. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They don't dwell on what didn't work. They don't allow one loss to turn into a lifetime of regret. They use failure as a teacher. They let failure make them sharper. They let failure make them stronger. Too many people are afraid to fail, and because of that fear, they never take action. They never step outside of their comfort zone. They never try anything new. They stay stuck in the same place year after year because they are more focused on avoiding failure than they are on chasing success. But here's the truth. If you are afraid to fail, you are afraid to grow. If you are afraid to make mistakes, you are afraid to improve. If you are afraid to fall, you will never learn how to stand taller. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall over and over again. They stumble, they trip, they lose their balance, but they don't stop trying just because they fell once. They don't sit down and say, well, I guess I'm just not meant to walk. No, they get back up. They make adjustments. They figure out how to shift their weight, how to place their feet, how to steady themselves. And eventually they learn how to walk. Then they learn how to run. Then they learn how to jump. That's how success works. It's not about never falling. It's about learning every time you do. But as people get older, they stop thinking like that. They start believing that if they fail, it means they're not good enough. They start believing that failure is a reflection of who they are instead of a part of the process. And because of that, they stop taking risks. They stop challenging themselves. They stop putting themselves in situations where they might fail. And in doing so, they also stop putting themselves in situations where they might grow. You have to change the way you see failure. Failure is not something to fear. Failure is something to embrace. Failure is a sign that you are pushing yourself. Failure is a sign that you are trying. Failure is a sign that you are doing something that most people are too scared to do. If you never fail, it means you are playing it too safe. If you never fail, it means you are staying inside your comfort zone. If you never fail, it means you are not growing. The people who achieve the most in life are the people who have failed the most. Look at any successful person in history, and you will see a long list of failures behind them. You will see the times they lost, the times they made mistakes, the times they were rejected, the times they thought about giving up. But instead of letting failure stop them, they use it to get better. They use it to sharpen their skills. They use it to build resilience. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine if he had taken that failure as a sign that he wasn't good enough. Imagine if he had decided to quit, but he didn't. He went home, worked harder, practiced more, and became a legend. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he built, but instead of letting that failure define him, he learned from it, came back stronger, and transformed Apple into one of the most powerful brands in the world. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if she had listened. Imagine if she had let that failure stop her, but she didn't. She learned, she adjusted, she kept going, and now she is one of the most influential media figures in history. These people didn't succeed because they never failed. They succeeded because they knew how to respond to failure. They didn't see it as a dead end. They saw it as a detour. They saw it as an opportunity to learn something new, to improve their approach, to come back even stronger. That is the mindset you need to develop. That is the mindset that separates winners from quitters. When you fail, you have two choices. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can use it as an excuse to quit, or you can use it as fuel to keep going. You can let it weaken your confidence, or you can let it strengthen your determination. The choice is yours. Most people take failure personally. They make it about their identity instead of their actions. They say, I failed, so I must not be good enough. I failed, so I must not be meant for this. I failed, so I must be a failure. But failure is not a label, it is an event. It is something that happens, not something you are. Just because you failed does not mean you are a failure. Just because something didn't work out does not mean you are not capable. It just means you need to adjust. It just means you need to learn. It just means you need to try again with a better strategy. Every failure carries a lesson. Every mistake contains wisdom. Every setback gives you valuable feedback about what works and what doesn't. The only way you truly fail is if you refuse to learn. The only way failure becomes permanent is if you stop trying. The only way failure defeats you is if you let it. Most people never reach their full potential because they don't know how to handle failure. They let one rejection keep them from ever trying again. They let one loss make them believe they will never win. They let one setback define the rest of their journey. But the people who make it, the people who change their lives, the people who turn their dreams into reality, they don't let failure stop them. They take the lessons, make the adjustments, and come back stronger. That is how growth happens. That is how success is built. That is how champions are made. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you have, the energy you absorb every day, it all plays a role in your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your success. If you are constantly around negativity, doubt, and mediocrity, it will wear you down. It will weaken your drive. It will make you start questioning yourself, even if you were once confident, because energy is contagious. And whether you realize it or not, you are becoming a reflection of your environment. Most people don't take control of their environment. They accept whatever is around them. They stay in the same circles they've always been in, even if those circles are full of people who complain, make excuses, and settle for less. They listen to conversations that reinforce fear, doubt, and limitation. They absorb content that fills their mind with distractions instead of direction, and then they wonder why they struggle to stay motivated. They wonder why they can't stay disciplined. They wonder why they feel stuck. But the truth is, you cannot expect to reach new heights while surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable staying low. You have to be intentional about your environment. You have to be selective about the voices you listen to. You have to guard your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. If you are surrounded by people who don't believe in themselves, guess what? Over time, you will start doubting yourself too. If you spend your days around people who blame, complain, and make excuses, you will start adopting that same mentality. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, you will start feeling negative about your own life. It happens gradually. It happens subtly, but it happens. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who push themselves, who challenge themselves, who are striving for something greater, that energy will rub off on you. If you have conversations with people who think big, who dream big, who refuse to settle, that mindset will start influencing the way you see your own life. If you put yourself in an environment where growth is the standard, you will naturally start leveling up. Because the truth is, we rise or fall to the level of our environment. This is why you have to start auditing your circle. Who are you spending the most time with? What are you allowing into your mind on a daily basis? What kind of conversations are shaping your beliefs? Are the people around you pushing you forward, or are they holding you back? Are they challenging you to grow, or are they encouraging you to stay comfortable? Are they inspiring you to do better, or are they making it easy for you to slack off? The people you keep in your life should be an asset, not a liability. They should be making you stronger, not weaker. They should be helping you stay focused, not distracting you. They should be pushing you toward your goals, not pulling you away from them. And if they are not doing that, you have to start making some hard decisions, because the truth is not everyone can come with you. Not everyone is meant to be in your life forever. Not everyone is willing to grow with you. Some people are comfortable where they are, and if you keep staying in that environment, it will slow you down. This doesn't mean you have to cut people off with no explanation. It doesn't mean you have to be rude, but it does mean you have to prioritize your future. It does mean you have to put yourself first. It does mean you have to make choices that align with the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. And sometimes that means creating distance. Sometimes that means setting boundaries. Sometimes that means walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. It's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It can even be painful. But it is necessary, because if you are serious about growth, if you are serious about becoming the best version of yourself, you cannot afford to stay in an environment that keeps you small. You cannot afford to be surrounded by people who don't believe in elevation. You cannot afford to spend your time in places that drain your energy instead of fueling your ambition. The good news is, you don't have to wait for the perfect environment to find you. You can create it. You can build a circle of people who inspire you. You can seek out mentors who challenge you. You can consume content that strengthens your mindset instead of weakening it. You can be intentional about what you listen to, what you watch, what you read. Every decision you make about your environment is shaping your future. If you want to succeed, you have to start putting yourself in rooms where success you have to start learning from people who are ahead of you. You have to start exposing yourself to ideas that expand your thinking instead of keeping it small. And if you don't have access to those people yet, start with what you can control. Read books that challenge you. Listen to podcasts that motivate you. Follow people who inspire you. Surround yourself with greatness in any way you can until one day you find yourself in those circles for real. But you cannot stay where you are and expect to grow. You cannot keep doing what you've always done and expect different results. You cannot allow the wrong environment to dictate your potential, because at the end of the day, your environment is either working for you or against you. It is either pulling you closer to your goals or pushing you further away. It is either making you stronger or making you weaker. And you have to decide which one you are going to allow. You have to take responsibility for your surroundings. You have to take control of what you expose yourself to. You have to be intentional about who you let into your life, because whether you realize it or not, every day your environment is shaping you. The question is it shaping you into the person you want to be? Pain is a part of the process. Struggle is a part of the journey. No one reaches greatness without going through hardship, without facing obstacles, without dealing with moments that test them, break them, and challenge everything inside of them. But the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't is how they handle the pain. Some people let it defeat them. Some people let it break them. Some people use it as an excuse to quit, to give up, to walk away from the very thing they said they wanted. But the ones who succeed, the ones who rise, the ones who change their life, they take that pain and they turn it into power. Too many people believe that pain means stop, that struggle means it's time to turn back, that hardship means they aren't supposed to be on this path. But that's the wrong mindset. Pain is not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you are growing. Struggle is not a signal to turn back. It's proof that you are pushing beyond your limits. Hardship is not an indication that you should quit. It's an opportunity to build resilience, to get stronger, to develop the toughness you need to survive at the next level. Every great person, every champion, every leader, every legend has faced moments where they thought they couldn't go on, moments where they wanted to give up, moments where they felt exhausted, drained, defeated. But instead of quitting, they pushed through, they dug deep, they found another level inside of them. And because of that, they came out on the other side stronger than before. That's the difference. That's what separates the people who win from the people who lose. It's not that they didn't feel pain. It's that they refused to let it stop. Most people want success without struggle. They want growth without discomfort. They want results without resistance. But that's not how it works. If you want something great, you have to be willing to go through the pain that comes with earning it. You have to be willing to suffer for it. You have to be willing to sacrifice, to endure, to keep going, even when everything in you wants to stop, because nothing great is built without pain. Pain is the process. Pain is the fire that refines you. Pain is the pressure that turns coal into diamonds. Pain is what separates the weak from the strong, the average from the elite, the ones who talk about success from the ones who actually achieve it. Because when most people feel pain, they look for a way out. They look for an escape. They look for a shortcut. But the ones who are truly committed, the ones who are truly serious, they don't run from pain, they face it. They embrace it, they lean into it, and let it mold them into something greater. You have to stop looking at pain as a problem and start seeing it as a privilege, because pain means you are in the game. Pain means you are pushing your limits. Pain means you are doing something that most people are too afraid to do. If you never feel pain, it means you are playing too small. If you never struggle, it means you are staying inside your comfort zone. If you never face hardship, it means you are not growing. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. Think about the hours they spend training, the sacrifices they make, the injuries they fight through, the exhaustion they push past. Do you think they enjoy every second of it? Do you think they never feel pain? No, they feel pain every single day, but they know that the pain is necessary. They know that if they want to perform at the highest level, they have to be willing to suffer at the highest level. They know that if they want to win when it matters, they have to be willing to endure the struggle when nobody is watching. The same is true in every area of life. You cannot become great without going through struggle. You cannot achieve something extraordinary without paying the price. You cannot rise to the top without first fighting through the bottom. The problem is most people don't want to pay the price. They want the reward without the work. They want the success without the sacrifice. They want the comfort without the challenge. And that's why they never make it. You have to change the way you see struggle. Struggle is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It is the place where you develop the strength, the endurance, the mental toughness you need to succeed. Every time you push through pain, you are getting stronger. Every time you keep going when you want to quit, you are building resilience. Every time you refuse to back down, you are proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. But most people never realize how strong they really are because they never push themselves far enough to find out. The moment things get hard, they stop. The moment they feel pain, they quit. The moment they face resistance, they turn back. And because of that, they never reach their full potential. They never see what they are truly capable of. They never become the person they were meant to be. You have to make a decision. You have to decide that you will not be like most people. You have to decide that you will not run from pain. You have to decide that no matter what happens, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how much you struggle, you will keep going. Because the moment you stop backing down from pain, the moment you stop fearing struggle, the moment you start embracing the process, that is the moment your life begins to change. You don't have to love pain. You don't have to enjoy struggle. But you do have to respect it. You have to understand that it is shaping you, molding you, preparing you for the next level. Every time you push through pain, you are stepping closer to the person you were meant to be. Every time you embrace the struggle, you are proving to yourself that you are stronger than your circumstances. Every time you refuse to quit, you are separating yourself from the people who will never make it. Pain is temporary, but what you gain from pushing through it lasts forever. Struggle is momentary, but the strength it gives you stays with you for life. Hardship is difficult, but the confidence it builds in you can never be taken away. That is why you have to keep going. That is why you cannot stop. That is why you have to remind yourself every single day that pain is not here to break you. It is here to build you.